Yeah, so my identity, like as an artist, I would say like the fuel of my music is very much the result of my place in my community. Like my church, I was just telling somebody today, like there's some folks from my church here, and we're sort of walking around, and they're like, people like like, hey KB, can I get an autograph, a picture? And they're like, why do they want that from you? Because I'm just a regular dude, I am a regular dude, but even more in the the strongest sense in their eyes. So one of the things that we are committed to as a community is foreign missions. So I've gotten a chance to do foreign missions before Reach, and I've always had a heart for cross cultural evangelism. A lot of individuals in sort of the clique have done that. So when Liberia came to the table, I was all in. Now it was hard because we saw a documentary on it before we went, and the documentary had like, it was showing stuff that was happening in the war like 10 years ago, like cannibalism and cats, I won't even get into it. There's some crazy stuff happening, and then we cut the video off, and all of us were nervous about going. I mean, because this 10 years feels like a long time, but it really wasn't that long ago. And they're still dealing with a lot of things that happened in this war that was taking place in Liberia. I mean, basically a genocide that was taking place. So when we saw the DVD, and we were on our, had to make these decisions if we want to go or not. Our pastor pretty much turned to us and was like, listen, guys, if we're not willing to die, then we should not go on this trip, because these people aren't going to be reached if we aren't all in. We have to put ourselves in the way of risk, or we won't do real gospel ministry. So at first I was like, well, I guess I'm not going. I guess I got a wife, man, and kids. I got a baby. Well, we want to have a baby. At the time we didn't have them. But I had to go home and think, and I said, man, that's what ministry is altogether. It's, if I'm going to reach anybody, if it's going to be real, if what I'm talking about is worth giving your life for, I need to not count my life so precious to me that I'm not willing to lose it if it means God to be glorified. So, going full circle to Liberia, I really wanted, 25 years old to really step in that reality of trusting God, going after the risk, and going to Liberia and doing mission work. So we're planning. There's been churches that have been planted there by our church, and we are instrumental in strengthening them. And our goal, man, is to have 30 Living Faith Bible fellowships in Liberia. So when I'm not doing music, when I'm not traveling, when I'm not taking care of the family, my commitment is my local assembly. So that's actually really, it's all part of what I consider my commitment. So looking forward to going back next year. Yeah, well, so I got a line in 100 where I said I'd rather be in the jungle in the will of God than anywhere else without it. I think before that I say, I don't want no new Bugatti. Put me in Nimba County. Nimba County is the place where we stayed in Liberia. Liberia, I'm serious, mosquito net in my Bible. So, you need a mosquito net or you can get malaria. But I remember staying in this dungeon, and let me just be honest, I'm never staying there again. When we go back, we gonna sleep in tents or something, because I can't do it again. But we are going back, so we'll bring tents. But anyways, we were staying in a dungeon, man. It looked like, oh man, I hope folks in Liberia don't hear this. It did look like something from Outlaw 3. I'm sorry, I love you guys. It was just tough, man. The Peace Corps was there before we were. It just was a very rough spot to be in. But I remember not being able to sleep, laying on my back. It was probably like 4 a.m. hearing weird animals in the jungle making noise, and trying to figure out if I'm hearing people practicing witchcraft or something like that. I was kind of spooky. And I remember laying on my back on this concrete bed, mosquito net around me, thinking, but I would rather be here than anywhere else, knowing that God was against me while I'm in that place. I was like, for that, I'm a little hungry. I'm super uncomfortable, but I can still smile because I'm where God would have me to be. So that was a strong thing that ran through 100, was this sort of give your all. You have never sinned or disobeyed God and been like, man, that was worth it. I'm glad I did that. But in the opposite, when we trust him, when we risk, when we put it out there, we'll find that it's right, and we won't be regretful. So, most memorable moment in Liberia was, well, actually, it was before we got there. I'm sorry. So, this is going to sound bad, but we were on a plane leaving Paris, going to Liberia, and they brought a prisoner on the plane. Dude shackled up. He had like headgear on. He had chains all around him, and they brought him on the plane. So we sort of, watched him walk by and was like, okay. So he went and sat down, and the plane door, the cabin closed, and he lost it. He went crazy. He was screaming, no! Ah! Two dudes jumped on him and put their foot like on his neck, and then the crowd, the audience, the rest of the passengers, I'm sorry, it's late. The rest of the passengers were like, what are y'all doing? They were speaking the language, but it looked like they were saying, what are y'all doing? We're professionals. We're trying to go to Africa. You got this prisoner on the plane. What the heck is going on? So that's how I'm interpreting it. But it actually turned out that they were upset that they were treating a human being so poorly. Had nothing to do with the inconvenience. Had nothing to do with the fact that they brought a prisoner on a Delta flight. It was this Delta. So I'm like, man, there'd be lawsuits everywhere. And I remember that was like the spark of a long series of events where I began to find myself in Africa. Like there's so much about me that needed to be confronted, where I think about myself and my convenience and my devices as primary, and I begin to shift and see, man, this really is about loving people, leading them to Jesus, and changing people's lives for eternity. And that moment right there is memorable for me because it sort of sparked that journey through, to those realities. Cobra, yes, Cobra kind of doesn't exist. It exists when it doesn't exist. So Cobra is. It was supposed to be a joke, like, Cobra strike. When Joseph Belowsny, Dirty Rice, Natalie, and myself got together. Natalie's the writer. Joseph is and Dirty are the producers, and I helped sort of craft. This is what we did for my project, and we called it Cobra. And we had this joke going on. I was like, man, I'm the CEO, you know what I'm saying? And, it was kind of, this collective we have. But there is a collective. When my team, cats I love working with, is definitely Natalie. Her and I go way back. I've known her since I was 17 years old, and she's been a good friend of mine and to the family. And Joseph, just one of my closest friends, especially in the industry, and he's a beast. He's a genius. I think he's the genius behind a lot of what has come out of Reach. And Dirty's a beast. And when we come together, you might get struck, by the Cobra, you know what I mean? So, yeah. It's not like anything official. It was started as a joke, and I think it's kind of turned into something more serious. I called it out on 100 at the end. I was like, Cobra! Because that's the team, that's the clique, man. I'm very excited about this mug. I feel like I'm in a good place. I feel the most creative that I've ever felt. I feel driven. My son is now active in the world with all his demands, and he just provides a lot of drive for me. Like I feel focus. I did a workshop yesterday here, and it was on work and vocation. And one moment, as I was talking at the end, I was answering a question, and I saw my wife and my daughter. I'm sorry, my son. It's late. My wife and my son up in the corner, and I pointed at them and I said, they will not go hungry. And I felt this emotion just sort of take me where I almost wanted to tear up and let a couple shed, because I feel so passionately about making sure that I'm setting an example for them as a godly man and making sure they're provided for. And I feel that with every ounce of me, whether I'm writing a book, whether I'm teaching somewhere, whether I'm rapping, every moment that I get to serve, it really is 100. I'm doing it for the glory of God and setting an example of taking care of your family. So I think this time around, I'm really just going to, I can't think of a better word, it's late. sort of just vomit out my ideas and my creativity, and we're gonna look. Oh, this is nasty. Okay, Joe, you did this. I'm just gonna kind of look through it and sort of find a theme. So we're planning a trip to Africa. Myself, Joseph, and Natalie, my wife. We're going to head on over there and work with an African choir and try to bring to life some ideas that we had even last year to see if we can't make something fresh, something new, something memorable that is satisfying to the ears and pleasing to our God. First quarter next year, be looking out for it. So I'm gonna be dropping stuff before then. There's a new video. I'll tell Rapzilla first. Kamikaze, I don't know when it's coming out, but Kamikaze video is either out right now or it's coming out this month, July. Actually, July 30th is that day. Make sure I get y'all some stuff to, so y'all can be prepared. It's being released through Vivo, so I'm really excited about that. We took a completely different route this time. There's no rapping. It's completely a cinematic piece. And I'm going to be dropping just music just for free, just fan interaction, yeah, that's sort of the aim. So I totally forgot what your question was. What was the question again? He forgot it. It's late. We've been going hard, man, since Wednesday. So yeah, man, I love it, man. God bless you, Rapzilla. Appreciate it. Rapzilla.com